OSC and how it might be relevant to them?
Sure. So the Ontario Securities Commission, or OSC, is the government agency that oversees the capital markets and the investment industry here in Ontario. My group is the Investor Office. Among our activities, we help educate investors and help prevent fraud.
And but many of our viewers are probably hearing about the OSC for the first time. So what else is OSC doing to reach diverse audiences?
Sure. So we know that the OSC, that we need to meet investors where they are, and that includes speaking to them in their own language. So we do quite a lot of activity to educate investors and help them protect against fraud, including in multiple languages. So we do a lot of community outreach to groups throughout the province, including a lot of Chinese groups. We also have a lot of resources available on our website that are in Mandarin and Cantonese. Including brochures, pamphlets, other articles. And we have a website called Investing Introduction. It's investingintroduction.ca. It has information available in 22 languages, including traditional and simplified Chinese. And it includes information on protecting against fraud, how to contact the OSC, how to educate yourself about your finances and get smarter about money.
Excellent. So, but a number of media has reported fraud stories, and it seems to be increasing. Do you have any statistic that can share with us?
Yeah, fraud is such a common problem, and it can happen to anybody. The Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre last year reported, I think, $361 million in fraud across Canada, and we know that fraud is an underreported crime. Many people don't report it, whether out of fear or embarrassment or shame. So we know fraud is a vastly underreported crime. We also know that it can have devastating impacts on people, not just their finances, but their physical, their mental, and emotional health. It's a really big problem, and so that's why we're out here talking to people to help reduce the fraud.
Okay, so speaking of fraud, there are a number of fraud, it seems, targeting the Chinese community. What can you tell us about these frauds, and can you share some examples or cases with us?
Sure. So again, fraud can happen to anybody. There is no need to be ashamed or embarrassed. But there are some common frauds that can happen to anybody, some of which we've seen in the Chinese community. So there's about 3 that I would mention. There's one called the grandparent scam. You may have heard about it in the media recently. Really sad stories. So this is where a fraudster, a criminal, contacts someone, often someone elderly, and pretends to be a family member, such as a grandson or granddaughter, and says that they're in trouble with the law. They ask for money to maybe get out of jail or pay for a lawyer. Affiliate groups, so it could be a community organization, it could be a church or religious organization, it could be your local sports team. But the fraudster becomes friends with you, and people tend to trust these fraudsters because they think they have something in common. So it could be your cultural background, your ethnicity, your religion, but they help gain people's trust and then target their victims with fraud.
These are very serious crimes. How do OSC stop potential fraudsters, and under what circumstances should victims be contacting the OSC?
So we would say to anyone who thinks they may be a victim of a fraud to please contact the OSC or your local law enforcement. The OSC, our phone number is 1-877-785-1555. We have a contact center that can handle inquiries and complaints and concerns in many languages, including Mandarin and Cantonese.